Hello guys.
On. Hello everyone and welcome to the Elly channel. Today is the beginning of the summer rants. In these podcasts we'll be talking about various things. We're not gonna tell you all of them because you wouldn't stay tuned. But we'll be telling you today's topic is the rise and fall of reboots. Reboots.
Indeed.
So today I'm joined by the fantastic, the one and only Alex from the nostalgic multiverse.
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
I would like to thank him for spending some time today as we discuss a topic that is much annoying, as sad as it is as well.
Yeah, I'm always happy to be with one of my lifelong friends. So let's do
Alright.
this.
Okay, so reboots started, let's say, back in 2008. Well, it wasn't a reboot, it was a new show. It was Ben 10. But then the show got I don't know if you want to call it a reboot, but then it got another show adaptation. So I think for Ben 10 they're more like adaptations and not reboots. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah, Ben 10, basically, you have the original series, Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and Omniverse, which
Exactly.
people have said is the main timeline.
Okay, so those are adaptations after each other. But then in 2017, we know Ben 10 2017 as not an adaptation, but a reboot because it changes everything, even the art style. In Omniverse, the art style changed, but it was similar to the other shows. It just
Yeah,
changed, and
it was
everyone
similar to the other shows, but the thing was, it had the same art style as shows such as Spectacular Spider-Man, Transformers Animated, and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, not to mention
exactly,
the original Teen Titans.
exactly, and not to mention most like all the shows Alex mentioned are greatly received. So this art style has a pretty good, fantastic luck to it.
Indeed.
I wish that luck had it with Ben 10 2017 because it was a disaster. It was a mixture of all the worst reboots combined to one. But that's still not the worst reboot I know. We're gonna talk about it more in depth. But I think Ben 10 2017 was quite disappointing, especially since you had Omniverse right before it. And then people were expecting something new, something good, a good adaptation, a good timeline, and then we got Ben 10 2017. Which,
Yeah, but in all honesty, Ben 10 2017 did end on a few good notes. We got three specials, one about Ben 10,000, one of Generator X crossovers, and even more so, a Ben 10 crossover with the original series. And we also got the movie Ben 10 versus the Universe, which was quite entertaining.
and then we got the Ben 10 Ultimate Challenge as well on Cartoon Network.
Indeed.
If you don't know, if you didn't had Cartoon Network UK, in Malta we don't have Cartoon Network Malta. We have Cartoon Network UK. So I had to tune in to Cartoon Network UK. They had this challenge all about the Ben 10 reboot, and it was like Scatoony, but the prizes were Ben 10 products. That's it.
Yeah, and they even had Ben 10 Ultimate Challenge for Ultimate Alien back in 2010.
I'm guessing it was way much more better because the toys were way much more cooler. I'm guessing.
Uh, True enough, those were Bandai products. The ones we got were what, Jack Specific or something?
You can tell, like Bandai, Giga Chad, and then Jack Specific and Jazzwares trash.
Yeah,
We
true
don't
enough.
talk about those. Those we'll leave them for another podcast.
Indeed.
Anyways, so we talked about Ben 10. I think now it's time we should talk about the most saddest one we've gotten, which was Teen Titans. Teen Titans was an incredible show. It ended off with a cliffhanger back in 2006. And then when people heard that we were gonna get a new reboot back in 2013, everyone was hyped. I didn't know much of Teen Titans back then because I was like 7, 6. But I remember watching some old Teen Titans episodes and thinking these are really good. I even saw Tiny Titans, which were like shorts using the Teen Titans art style. And then I remember seeing the first episode of Teen Titans Go. And you don't need a diploma to notice that there is a massive difference between Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. It was very disappointing, and I think it's the most known reboot for the worst reasons.
Indeed. Honestly, people were expecting Teen Titans Teen Titans' continuation. I haven't seen much of Teen Titans either. Probably saw a few episodes on Boing, but instead, literally all we got was rubbish, fart jokes, and all that other stuff. Seriously, if you want to
Exactly.
cater, yeah, if you want to cater to a younger generation, cater to the older fans as well. Have younger people grew up with what we grew up with.
I agree with you.
Not follow stupid trends.
I totally agree with you. And the reboot that I'm going to mention, which I think is far more worse than Teen Titans Go, has all these things, compounds from Teen Titans Go. It was horrible. To the point where they even had a crossover with this horrible reboot. We'll talk about it more because it's going to be the main target of today's podcast. But I think this is a hot take. If they wanted to do a kids targeted show and they wanted to do it in for kids, I don't think they shouldn't have used the Teen Titans as targets for a kids show. Teen
In
Titans.
I agree because literally these are the same people behind a show that never aired on Cartoon Network UK, aka the Robot Chicken equivalent for children. Mad.
Exactly. Mad is, yeah, the Robot Chicken of Cartoon Network. It was goofy, but it had its charm to it. We have to say that. People hated it. But for me, it was like the uncle grandpa ex Robot Chicken thing. You know?
I liked it, but when they went on to creating Titans Go, here's what I have to say. Why? Stick with what you know. Don't stick to something you don't know.
Exactly. The weirdness of Mad was charming, but when you put serious characters with tragic backstories, you have Robin, you have Garfield, aka Beast Boy, you have Cyborg, Starfire, and Raven with her demonic psychotic dad. You don't put them in a weird event. That's like that's like seeing, I don't know, Snake from Metal Gear Solid or Cloud or the most badass characters of all time just doing a Fortnite dance. They're like, what the fuck are they doing? These are serious characters. You don't put them in these goofy situations.
Agreed.
That's like seeing, I don't know, Ninjago, and all of a sudden you start seeing Lloyd doing the gritty in front of everyone. It's like, what the
I mean,
fuck is he
seriously,
doing?
that would be the dumbest shit ever. I would honestly tell the new writer, what are you thinking? Why make Lloyd do the gritty?
Yeah, this is not Monkey Kid. This is not a joke. This is Ninjago, okay?
Exactly.
If you want to do jokes, do them in Lego dots, do them in the Monkey Kid. But Ninjago don't. Ninjago saved Lego, so don't ruin it.
Exactly.
Anyways, so back to Teen Titans. I watched the first episode. It was, I believe, the legendary sandwich. It was technically an episode where Robin told what I mean Raven told Robin all about the sandwich, and Robin was saying that this sandwich is not as good as his homemade sandwich. And literally, the end they were fighting for it, and then you have uh, Starfire's pet. He ate
Silky.
Silky, yeah, Silky. He ate it up, and then he vomited all over the tower.
Ugh.
Quite goofy. It's goofy. And then there was one
Yeah,
where when they were battling fairy tale characters, one where they were watching the A Team. Quite goofy. And the fans and the creators knew that this show was one of the most hated shows on Cartoon Network of all time. Because at that time, Cartoon Network was at its peak. It's 2000s, 2010 to 2012 Cartoon Network is like saying Cartoon Network in the 90s. It was that good because they were literally on a downfall in 2009 to early 2010. But then, when Adventure Time, regular show, and Gumball came, they went back to fame. But
They
then,
came back with a renaissance.
exactly, and not to mention they had other good shows like one reboot, which is very good. It's not like like it takes these characters that we all know and love, but then puts them in like these life situations, and their humor of the old cartoons still stayed the same, just matured a bit because they're adults now. It's like the Looney Tunes show. The Looney Tunes show is by far one of the most great reboots of all time, because before the Looney Tunes show we got like there was this Looney Beasts Unlimited.
I know what you're talking about. Lunatics Unleashed.
Lunatics Unleashed. What the fuck? Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, getting the next generation of Looney Tunes characters and making them superheroes. What the heck?
Exactly. Like I remember Baby Looney Tunes, which it's a good kids show, but it's not
And
like the it was promising. It's not the best show of all time. It's literally babies, baby Looney Tunes, doing baby things. But it was good for kids. They should have done something similar to Baby Looney Tunes. Baby Looney Tunes used to air on Cartoon Network as well. Although on in the UK it was on Cartoonito, Baby Looney Tunes in the US used to air on Cartoon Network. So they could have done something similar to Baby Looney Tunes if they wanted to appeal for kids with other characters.
mm,
But definitely not the Teen Titans. That's like grabbing serious things and doing them weirdly done. I don't agree.
the only redeeming thing people find about Teen Titans Go are literally the Night Begins to Shine episodes, and even more so the movie, which was actually critically acclaimed somehow.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I watched the movie. The art style is just the same. Just the colors are slightly different. But Night Begins to Shine, man. It was 20%, 20%, and 40% was a very good special. Why?
Yep.
Because the art style, like the the concept was stupid, but they took the art style and the music, and it was quite good. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was beautiful.
it was so good that Funko did Funko Pops of one episode of Teen Titans Go, one episode which then led to another special, which I think the first special was better because then they knew the special was good, and then they just did a cheesy special with like rappers and just did them into like polar bears and tigers.
I mean, at that point, it just became more goofy than it already was.
Exactly. They were trying to take this thing. They knew they made a good episode finally, and then they fucked it up with some weird special. It was good, but you can tell the first special was better. The episode was better.
Yep. Also, if you don't mind, I'm gonna turn on a light here so that people
Yeah.
can see me better.
Everyone will see Alex shining, shining like a diamond. Anyway,
Well,
so
yep.
so so far we heard that cartoons they don't do good reboots. But apart from cartoons, there are certain things that also do reboots, like video games. Video games
Indeed.
have a lot of reboots, and most of them are really good. Like Sonic Mania rebooted the entire 2D Sonic. Even Generations rebooted modern and 2D, which
Exactly.
helped both of them because at that time 3D Sonic was trash. You had Sonic Unleashed, which was mid, Sonic Colors, which was good, but then got a mid adaptation on the Switch, PS4, Xbox, etc. You had the Secret Ring and the Dark Knight.
Black
which
Knight.
Black Knight, which were mid. But then you had Sonic 06, which was incredibly bad. It was
Yeah, I mean,
horrible.
they literally all they did was import the game with every single bug they had in it. How stupid can you get?
It was not good. It was horrible. I swear to God, the only good thing that came out of '06 was Silver. And he's a meh character because he barely gets used in the modern Sonic titles. He just is used as almost like a background character or that dude to scream, Sonic! No, Sonic! It's like,
Literally, I've been seeing comic dubs and such, and literally, Silver is more useful in the Archie or IDW comics than in the video games.
exactly. Like, there are some titles of Sonic which are reboots of classic Sonic, which are incredibly underrated. Like, you take modern Sonic and put him in 2D. You get Sonic '04, which was horrible. But then you also get these really underrated DS games which Alex has, Sonic Rush. Sonic Rush are really good, although being like not pro- produced by THQ but manufactured as THQ, which is known for horrible kids games. These games are really good. They're like 2D Sonic and modern Sonic and taken together into one.
Exactly. Not to mention the fact that Sonic Rush provided more playability for more characters, such as Blaze.
Exactly. Blaze, exactly. Was Blaze the first time introduced in Sonic Rush?
Yup. Blaze was first introduced in Sonic Rush and then was reduced to being Silver's sidekick in Sonic 06.
Exactly, his side chick. Anyway, literally, I don't think. I think the video game reboots are great. You have, for example, New Super Mario Brothers, which was a reboot of 2D Mario. It was great until it got milked. And then, thankfully, all of a sudden, Nintendo's rebooting to the Mario in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is beautiful. It's strange. It reminds me of Sonic CD. That's how strange it is.
Well and truly, I can agree with that. Also, I think we failed to mention something when we were in the Sonic region.
Let's talk about that again.
Okay, so we failed to mention one thing that came out of the franchise, which had two bad games, one mid game, and last but not least, a TV show.
Sonic Boom.
Yup,
Oh yeah, Sonic Boom is a cartoon reboot of. So you have Sonic X, loved by many. You have like even the human characters, which were okay. They were loved because they were part of this good anime. And it
yup,
back then when we were young was classified as a cartoon, but it's so good we classify it as an anime. Animes are like really good, most of them. One Piece.
true.
But now the fact that it's classified as an anime really hits the spot for us because Philly, it was like all of a sudden it was like this great cartoon, loved by everyone. While back
And
then it was an underrated gem.
well, to be honest, I'm going to say this. While the first three Sonic cartoons, which were Sonic, The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Sat AM, and Sonic Underground, they weren't based on anything at all. They were just based on the character of Sonic. And in the first two cartoons, Knuckles doesn't appear because these were created in 93. After 94 and when Sonic Underground was created, Knuckles was finally introduced into the Deep Sonic series. And after that, when we got Sonic X as the anime, well, lo and behold, they actually took some things from the games. Since Sonic X is based around the first two Sonic Adventure games and Sonic Battle for the Game Boy Advance.
Exactly. And I believe the first three episodes, Knuckles was the antagonist, but then it switched to Shadow, if I am not mistaken.
Well, not really. Shadow became an antagonist during the SA2 war.
SA2. But okay. I haven't fully watched Sonic X. I literally need to sit down and watch it all because it's a really good show.
Trust me, 78 episodes and 3 seasons. You'll love it.
78 only? Literally, for a good show, you'd think they do more.
Yeah. But then we have Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom, it's the gap in between Sonic X and Sonic Prime. And here's the thing about it. It was a good show for what it was. It had a fair amount of action and comedy, but had a bit more emphasis on comedy because
The jokes were
anytime
good.
I watched,
The jokes are good. The
yeah,
the jokes are good.
even
Eggman, the soup is cold and the salad is hot. How is that even possible?
not to mention, not to mention the fact that in that series, Sonic poked fun at its own fan base with its fans, role plays, and all that stuff.
Exactly. So, literally, Sonic Boom is approved. Anyway,
Yep.
so we mentioned video game reboots and trash reboots, but I think we haven't hit the gold pot of trash.
Oh, trust me. Sometimes gold pots of trash can be in the smallest places. Like, for example, what I'm holding right here.
That is a gold pot of treasure you have there. That
Oh, what I
diecast
meant
you
was
have.
this, actually.
Oh, fuck no. My eyes. When I
Yep,
saw that, now on paper, 2D animated Thomas doesn't sound bad. It does not. Actually, if done properly, it could have been a really cool idea, especially how much animation has evolved since the beginning of Thomas and Friends. So it could have been
true.
a really great idea. They just done it in the worst way possible, giving lore to trains and making Gordon Thomas's father is just one of the most stupidest ideas I've heard.
Literally, I've been going through hell and back with the entirety of the Thomas and Friends franchise. Seeing it go from an innocent show about, okay, first off, based on books from the 1940s, adapted for television in 1984, and then afterwards switched to CGI in 2009. But then 2020, 75th anniversary of the Railway series. Boom. Mattel decided to say, nope, we're canceling the original Thomas series. Now you're going to have to deal with this piece of 2D garbage.
My eyes.
In all honesty, all right, I'll give them this. On the whole, to me anyway, the designs are cute. But the only problem I have is making them unrealistic to the point where they use the wheels as hands, not to mention they stretch out their axles. That is not how trains work. And they can even jump off the tracks.
Leave the
What?
goofiness to Mario Kart. We can only jump off tracks in Mario's Gold Mine or in Rail Rush. Leave
Exactly.
the goofiness to certain things.
I mean, how do you go from this realistic masterpiece to this unrealistic piece of garbage?
Exactly. They could have used, I don't know, these cute designs of the characters, but then they would make it more realistic. Like, one thing about Thomas and Friends is not only the episodes are really cool, you learn about trains as well whilst watching them. Like, literally, when I hear Alex talk about fucking Thomas and Friends, I literally say in my mind, he should go as fucking train engineer in England. Because you
I
learn
mean,
about trains and locomotives.
I mean, for example, we've heard time and time again in the show that Doc is a great Western pannier. Well, all right, well done for the joke. Second of all, we know that he's a great Western pannier tank, and they even mentioned the fact that he worked at Paddington. He worked at Paddington Station. So That's an interesting amount of history about the Great Western.
Maybe who knows? Maybe we got a marmalade sandwich as well.
But in all honesty, while we were talking about the Thomas reboot, and we said how a realistic masterpiece cannot compare to an unrealistic piece of garbage, the same cannot be said for Bob the Builder, because we have an unrealistic masterpiece, while here we have a realistic piece of garbage. How? How do you fuck up that bad with Bob the Builder?
In all sense, I have this to say of these reboots we've mentioned. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't fix what it's already good.
Exactly. And literally, they removed the goat of the show in Bob the Builder. They removed Spot the Scarecrow. He was the goat.
Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck these pieces of shit.
Seriously, whenever you hear the theme, dun, 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 you know that's a sign that Spud's gonna come on the screen.
You know, it's a theme of giganess and Chad-like physique. You know a champion's going on the screen when you hear that theme. But when I fucking hell,
Well,
we'll do it. I'll edit in the video.
yeah, sorry about that. Also, apparently we have remaining meeting time.
Okay, don't worry, we'll rejoin it. Anyways,
all right.
So we're gonna keep on talking about this, and then when the 10 minutes are up, we'll talk about the final reboot, which is, in my opinion, the worst reboot of all time.
I'll talk about my final reboot. The
Yes.
final reboot, which I'm going to talk about.
Wait. Guys, in case you didn't know, Alex is a Thomas expert, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm a Thomas and Ninjago expert.
The best expert of all the island of British cartoons and Lego. If you need help, call this guy.
But still, as I was about to say, Fireman Sam, my God, what a downgrade. I mean, originally the show was a stop motion where they fight fires in the fictional Welsh town of Pontypandy. Then we had the 5th series in 2005, which was peak perfection.
It was great.
But then in 2007, they switched to CGI and they made Norman the cause of every single problem.
Now, hold on. I remember seeing all these. Fireman Sam was a childhood masterpiece for me. Hot take. The CGI show started fine. It started okay. But then when they took it to America, they destroyed it.
Yeah, that's when you well and truly know the show went to shit.
I mean, the show was great. I mean, of course, yeah, like naughty Norman putting everything into a disaster. But that wasn't the big issue. The big issue was that they then took it to America, and the Americans started working on it without having little to no knowledge to fucking Fireman Sam, and just ruined the show.
Well and truly, I can agree with that. Here's something else. When they started making specials, I'm gonna say that some of the specials, they're not bad, just mediocre at best.
I mean, but we can, the best Fireman Sam was definitely have to be the 2004 one. It was great. I like the 2004 one, and then you have the classic one, which no one can go wrong with any classic show.
Well and truly. I mean, I could go on and on about British TV shows like, for example, Sooty or Pingu, but let's not get into those because, well, Pingu in the City, it wasn't so bad. And as for Sooty, he literally gets rebooted all the time.
Exactly.
So he's pretty much used to it at this point.
Like, I literally remember on a magazine, I used to have these British magazines called Favorites or Friends, and literally was talking about this sooty reboot, like for the 100th time, okay?
Yeah, I mean, 1950 up until now, City is still going strong, but most people don't seem to think so. Let's move on to the final one.
Exactly. Before we do that, all these reboots we've been mentioning, Thomas, Teen Titans, Fireman Sam, their reboots all end to trash. But let's talk about a reboot, which was, for unfortunately, cancelled at the end. And let's talk about DuckTales. DuckTales was a Sat AM cartoon in the late 80s, early 90s, involving certain underrated duck characters from the Disney universe. You had Scrooge McDuck, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which were Donald's nephews, and many more. You had Magica De Spell, you had
Glumgold,
Glum Gold, and then you had the pilot. Come on, the pilot.
Launchpad.
Launchpad McQuack, yes. And then you put them in this reboot. And this reboot we've been waiting for ages. It came out in 2017, and I think it's the only reboot from 2017, which was great. It was great. It updated the characters, it tweaked their character, tweaked the twins, which I really wanted them to do because the twins, they all look the same. So I'm glad they tweaked them a bit and changed their design to make them different.
True.
So yeah, the episodes were great. I remember seeing some on Disney XD. So yeah, there are some good reboots. Yeah, like we forgot Mystery Incorporated, which was literally all lore. Like it made this brand new lore of Scooby Doo that we didn't know we needed, but after seeing it, we desperately needed it. Like if you
Indeed.
missed an episode, you're not gonna understand it. Like it was confusing. It was great. It was confusing because back then this was an entire trend. Like shows start off normal shows, like they start off with no story, but then they develop and become a story. Like Adventure Time started with like a kid and his dog having fun. Same with regular show. A blue jay and a raccoon slacking off at work, going into these goofy antics. But then all of a sudden they go in a dome, they go into outer space, and then they mix up everything. Steven Universe as well, a goofy kid with some lesbian gems, and then it develops into the story, which are great. But then you'll mix up the audience. Even Gravity Falls had this, but Gravity Falls, we knew that was gonna happen. So yeah, it was probably Gravity Falls' cause that all these shows had story into them.
Yes, sometimes silly shows they can evolve into lore. I mean, if you look online, Thomas and Friends has a lore enthusiast named the Unlucky Tug.
And what does he do?
He, I mean, he does research about the island of Sodor in all three timelines, those being the Railway series timeline, the Model series timeline, and the CGI timeline. But never will he ever make timelines on this. Never.
I wonder how, I wonder why he won't touch that piece of shit. Like,
And
don't touch it.
I mean, gonna be honest, the one redeeming thing I can find about reboots are probably some of the new characters that they could introduce. For example, if it were a vehicle character, you can probably expand upon their character through their bases. For example, Kana, Sandy, and Bruno, of which I have to say this. Bruno was a
Mars.
marketing tool, very funny, but Bruno is an autistic brake van in the All Engines Go series. Now, this would have been interesting to see an American caboose being autistic and deciding he doesn't want to work in America anymore. So he moves to Sobor, and if things get too hectic, he could wear headphones. How would they do that? Simple. Someone made a story where at the end of it all, the workmen grab some pieces of scrap and make giant headphones for Bruno. So if he ever needs peace and quiet, he can just wear those ear defenders and he won't have to hear a thing.
Bruno and the children lost episode confirmed. Bruno wearing his headphones, listening to his favorite songs, not listening to the children on the tracks, and runs them over.
Oh,
Made by yours truly.
Jesus, what a creepy bastard story.
Like, Thomas and the Children was a lost episode, but I had to change it, bro. I had to change it to Bruno and the Children.
I'm gonna say it now, and I'm gonna be honest. Creepypastas, they're good, but from time to time they will devolve into nothing more than degenerate creations.
We'll talk about those in another podcast. But
Agreed.
let's talk about this one last reboot before we talk about our final reboot. Animaniacs. Animaniacs. They were a show that lasted 2 seasons from 1998 till I think 1999 or 2000.
Actually, 3 seasons.
3 seasons. The first show
Yup.
The first show lasted 3 seasons. Then was cancelled, and then we got this really good reboot on Hulu, which literally we're back. Unfortunately, Zoom, we're broke and we can't afford Zoom Pro. We're not broke. We just invested in content for you guys.
Exactly.
Exactly. Anyway, so back to Animaniacs. Hulu got this incredible Animaniacs show, which got cancelled as well. Like this curse with Animaniacs.
I mean, here's the thing. They said they were only going to bring Animaniacs back for 2 new seasons, but then after high demand, we got 3 seasons.
So yeah, everyone loved Animaniacs. It was a good reboot. See, reboots can be good, but then you have certain reboots which take beloved, favorite characters and just destroy them. You have Buttercup, and you have Blossom, and you have Bubbles, and then they pop the bubble, and then you have the worst reboot of all time.
Yup, the Powerpuff Girls reboot.
Now, I'm a big fan of the Powerpuff Girls. Alex watched the Powerpuff Girls on Cartoon Network 2.
Yeah, I watched it when I was younger.
And I used to watch it too. My sister was a big fan, and I soon joined after. Wait! Before we talk about the worst reboots again, I also have this, which my dear friend Emery Buckle got signed for me from Dublin Comic-Con. It's literally this, signed by Yakko and Wacko and even Pinky and the Brain.
Wow. Well, if anything, you should. This is one reason to subscribe to Elena. She's full of surprises.
Exactly. I thanked her a lot when she got this to me. So I don't know if she subscribed to me, but if you're watching this, thank you, Emery. I love you so much.
Yep. Well done.
Thank you. But now back to the shit. This is the last round I'm gonna do on this fucking reboot. This reboot took beloved characters and just destroyed them. Their personalities, chopped them in half until you have the worst characters having the worst main characters and making them sound like fucking brats. Continue.
I mean, here's the thing. All right, the original Powerpuff Girls was excellent. You had a lovable cast of characters. But then you just have this 2016 reboot that comes along and says, "Oh, we're gonna remove Miss Bella. Oh, we're gonna make the girls meet a unicorn. We're gonna make the girls meet a princess."
We're go-
What?
we're
What?
gonna we're gonna make them meet a panda on drugs and make them twerk in front of Buttercup.
I mean, what is this? What? Why? Why?
The Powerpuff Girls keep getting these horrible reboots, and like I'm literally worried for the live action one. I think it got cancelled.
Live action one got cancelled. Craig McCracken is coming back to make a new Powerpuff Girls series along with a preschool Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends series.
Good. The live action show was going to be incredibly horrible. I've seen some of the script. They were literally talking about trans rights and all these bullshit, and Buttercup doesn't want to wear dresses, and then I'm gonna talk to Daddy Utonium and all this bullshit.
I mean, listen, discussing controversial topics, I get, but using the Powerpuff Girls as a driving force for it?
Leave the
No, don't.
leave the lesbian show for Steven Universe, okay? Don't
Exactly.
leave it,
Explain this shit in Steven Universe, not the Powerpuff Girls.
kids. Don't be racist.
Exactly. Uh, being honest, I'm going to be honest here. If they were to do a live action Powerpuff Girls reboot, I would have been so pissed. I mean, the anime adaptation, I'm fine with. Powerpuff Girls Z was fine.
And the intentions for it was not. It was not. Was like an adaptation for the Japanese culture because they love anime. This thing had a lot of people behind it. You had Toei Animation, which created Dragon Ball Z and One Piece, which are some of the best animes of all time. So they and Sailor Moon as well, which Craig McCracken took high inspiration to when making the Powerpuff Girls. So
Wow.
they wanted this to succeed and they tweaked it up for the Japanese culture. So it may be weird, but at least they tried to keep the image of the Powerpuff Girls strong as it is, but just do it for a different culture. They kept this and then they just transferred it, tweaked it a bit, and gave them to them, and we got an okay reboot. But 2016, don't mention it to me. I watched the first episode. I watched it. I literally saw the premiere on 2016. I was hyped. I thought it was going to be like the 1998 one. It was not. It was horrible. The villains are forgetful. They're blunt. They're bland. They literally they're ugly. You have one deformed fly. You then have a lumberjack, and then of course certain side characters like a fucking animator, like an animator drew in one of the people working on the Powerpuff Girls to simp on Blossom. Blossom is a fucking 5-year-old and this
Yeah, and
dude
that
is in
has
his
no reason
20s.
to do this. This is some pedophile shit right here.
It has some leaks. It has some connections to pedophilia as well. One of the writers as well had a fetish for young boys, and literally, I'm not joking. I saw this video, and was literally talking about all the connections of pedophilia this reboot has. This is the worst reboot. I used to think when I was younger and didn't know all this shit, Teen Titans is the worst one. Fart jokes, everything. But I'd rather see Buttercup farting on screen than see that the Powerpuff Girls reboot is linked to fucking pedophilia, which is disgusting. It is gross. It is disgusting. And if you don't believe me, this video is not made by some random dude. This video is made by quite a serious YouTuber, quite successful, Brett Cooper. She does a lot of these videos talking about wokeism and all this shit, even about South Park, how its funny trans jokes and these funny gay jokes predicted the future in our society.
Well, if anything, here's something I have to say. There's this one animator, Hot Diggity Demon, and people know him for like his crude brony animations. and even more so, Jack Skellington animation, along with an animation known as Luigi's Day Out. But he's
Oh
now,
yeah.
yeah, he's now more renowned for his Brain Dump series. And here's the thing, he actually made an episode on the Powerpuff Girls reboot. And what happened to it? Somehow it either got demonetized by YouTube or it got deleted from the internet entirely. Someone managed to archive it though. So if you ever have the time, search up Brain Dump Powerpuff Girls reboot.
For what do you know the story?
Well, the only thing I can say out of the entirety of that video was the fact that I remember he said something about Miss Bella. No, not Miss Bella. The kindergarten teacher. Forgot what her name was.
Miskeen.
That's the one. He said something about like her having a vasectomy or something to remove her, you know, parts.
With JJ.
Not that. You know, the one that has the most eye candy.
Oh, the peaches.
Yup, yup. But seriously, they had to. He literally made a joke about Miss Keane having an operation to remove her boobs. Like what?
That is horrible.
Yeah, and literally they removed Miss Bellum all because of the fact that probably some sensitive fanboys or fangirls out there wouldn't like it.
No,
Me-
they removed Miss Bellum because they saw her character as quite blunt and boring, and there was no need to reboot her part of the reboot. That's funny because this reboot is blunt, boring, psychotic, disgusting, disturbing, and gives me pedophilia vibes.
In
Literally.
all, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I I honestly don't like the fact that they're even connecting this reboot to the original series. Because in one of the first episodes, and I'm not exaggerating here, one of the first episodes has Bubbles having a flashback to when she got something out of the professor's lab and threw it onto the kindergarten pet hamster. And it literally has her old design without those little beads.
I I I think the designs give me OCD of the new Powerpuff Girls. Like you have Buttercup's hair sprouting out, like comb it back. Why
I
does
mean,
she why does she need beads? Her hair was sitting perfectly fine without those beads. Does she need them? No. What did they imply? Do you want to give her more blue? Do you want to make your reboot more interesting? Spoiler alert, it's not gonna make it interesting. Those beads don't do nothing in the show. You think those beads would do something because they're added in. Like her ponytails were staying perfectly fine without those beads, but no, they do nothing at all.
a friend of mine in America named Milan, he is a nerd on both the Powerpuff Girls and Thomas and Friends. Here's an interesting fact he told me about Blossom, that her hair bow can be used as a time bomb.
That's crazy. I wonder, it does, like, the designs barely change anything of the characters of the reboot. Like, I don't know if this time bomb thing is used on the reboot,
Haven't seen any of it.
but it's probably a time bomb for twerking in the reboot, that's for sure.
True enough. I mean, literally, at one point in the show, they had a scene of Bubbles cursing while bleeping it out with truck reversing noises. What? 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 And not to mention that this show, being one of the worst reboots, had to cross over with another reboot.
Teen Titans Go.
And it was the worst, the absolute worst.
Yeah, it's cheesy, it's corny, it's weird, it's strange. It's literally just them arguing which is powerful. It was just a disaster.
Yeah, yeah, just very immature. In the words of Neil Morrissey, original voice actor for Bob the Builder, don't be so bloody immature.
Exactly. And like I said, if this ain't broke, don't try to
Don't
fix it.
fix it.
Look how cute this design of Buttercup is. Look, look at it. Does she need those extra hair over here? Does she?
No, she doesn't. She looks absolutely fine.
Exactly.
If anything, here's something I have to say. I'm actually glad that the Powerpuff Girls reboot or any of the main characters were not involved in crossover Nexus because, being honest, Teen Titans Go Raven was fine. So was Reboot Ben. I mean, being alongside Garnet and KO, they were fine. If you were to put them with, oh, I don't know, Reboot Blossom, Reboot Buttercup, or Reboot Bubbles, you would say, oh, no, fuck this. I'm not watching this cringe.
No, the thing is, these girls of the I'm gonna show this Buttercup a lot. Back then, these girls had personality. These She was the tomboy, Blossom was the smartest, and Bubbles was the cheery baby,
Cute one.
cute one. They're all cute, but the cutest one. N- They all whine in the reboot. They all whine. I just want to smash their heads on the wall. When I see the rebooted designs, I don't see girls fighting until bedtime, girls saving their city, girls that love their father, girls that respect, girls that fight for justice. I just hear their whiny little voices, and it's so annoying. Like the voices of the Powerpuff Girls in the old show were kid voices, but they never used to whine because for their age they were mature. Even Bubbles was mature for her age. It was the baby. It was the baby of the
Yeah,
group. They fought crime. They they were smart. This portrayed them as dumbasses. They literally portrayed Buttercup as the smartest one of the three of them in the reboot. Blossom is the smartest one. Blossom is the leader of the Powerpuff Girls. But then you portray her as the most dumbest one, falling falling in love with the fucking writer of the
I
show.
mean,
What the fuck?
I mean, literally within the theme song of the original series. Here is what was stated: Blossom, commander and leader, Bubbles, joy and laughter, Buttercup, toughest fighter. It was literally in the theme song,
In the
not
outro,
the
in the outro. It was literally
yeah.
in the outro. But then even the theme song of the new reboot is the only promising thing. Even the outro was horrible. Pop girl, before bedtime.
Yeah, it was boring, very boring.
It was it was horrible. The animation was horrible, and the thing is, I can see why it was horrible. The first Powerpuff Girl one, the action scenes were fast paced to the point where you could keep up with them, and they were fun. They were filled with action. Even the jokes were good in the first one, but the jokes in the reboot, they're blunt, and I was so disappointed. This was such a horrible disaster that merchandise of the Powerpuff Girls that releases today, they use the logo of the reboot. They use on like on the tag. Like I have this bag of the Powerpuff Girls, right? And it uses the old design and even
Now,
the old
those are the
logo.
designs we know and love.
Exactly. But before you say something, the tag on the bag, use the modern ones. Meaning they are so not confident of this item will sell with the modern design. They just leave them to the tag, the one thing that everyone throws away. It's useless. They just leave them to the
Be-
tag.
being honest, the worst marketing move by Cartoon Network was making the fourth Powerpuff Girl. Okay, being honest, being able to make your own Powerpuff Girl OC, it doesn't sound bad in concept. But then bringing it to the show as the fourth Powerpuff Girl, we had the fourth Powerpuff Girl episode in the original series. We had Bunny.
She
And
exploded.
yeah, and while I'll admit the fourth Powerpuff Girl, don't know her name in this reboot,
Bliss.
had all right, Bliss had a bit of a story. Okay, I can admit that having her as a fourth sister, who the professor deemed was a failed experiment or something. Okay, that's something I can believe. Her powers being out of control, sure, I can believe that. But the fact that her little friend the entire time was him, what the flip?
Yeah, I don't count her as anything, and I don't count Reboot as canon.
Yeah, in all, but here's something there's only one redeeming quality for me about this reboot. Only one. Those being the fact that they finally gave us Lego Powerpuff Girls.
And they added them to Dimensions. Yeah, that's the only thing. And the only redeeming thing is it was cancelled, so I'm happy about that.
Yep. And here's something I will say. I absolutely hate the fact that in Lego Dimensions, this entire Lego crossover, which introduces high quality brands and shows and movies like Ninjago, Sonic, Harry Potter, Batman, the Lego movie, and The Simpsons, they have the gall to not introduce the original Teen Titans and the original Powerpuff Girls,
And use
but
the
they decide
reboot.
to add in the reboots.
I mean, yeah, you're right. But hey, things would have gotten way worse. Things could have happened way worse. One thing, and probably one thing that I forgot to mention about reboots, but I have to mention this man. Do you know Gendy Tartakovsky?
Of course, Samurai Jack. You're about to talk about season 5 and 6, which aired on Adult Swim.
Those were amazing. They concluded Samurai Jack perfectly. If you leave this man on his own and without the fucking aid of fucking these bullshit companies or Hollywood, he can produce masterpieces. He fucking produced the Hotel Transylvania series, which until 2 was okay. Until
Hmm.
3 and 4 was horrible, 3 was meh, 2 and 1 were great. And then he made Dexter as well, and he even helped in the OG Powerpuff Girls. I'm hoping that Dexter would never get a reboot because they'll probably do him dirty. If they leave him not for the hands of Gendy but for Cartoon Network, they'll destroy him. Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon are their downfall. I don't watch TV anymore. I just watch YouTube videos. I just play video games. Okay, I think Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon downfall. They're not good anymore. Cartoons aren't good anymore. They
I'm
all
go
have pride flags, lesbian, trans characters. This is not what I. This is not the Cartoon Network or the Nickelodeon I remember. These are not cartoons. These are shits.
I'm going to be honest here. The thing is, anything related to the LGBTQ should be left for adult stuff. Because I think it would be better if kids are introduced to this stuff at a later age, more preferably when they are adults and old enough to understand this stuff. Not when they're young. I mean, come on.
It's bullshit. With this new thing with being inclusive is so deep. It will be served. It will be left for another time. But that's all the time we have today on the summer rants. I think we ranted quite much for our first episode.
Indeed, I can actually agree on that front. We ranted a lot about reboots. There's actually one we did forget, Oggy and the Cockroaches. They've actually got a reboot on Netflix, believe it or not.
Is it good?
Oh, trust me, the art style is similar to that of Teen Titans Go and the Powerpuff Girls. I wouldn't say so. Not to mention the fact that My Little Pony has its variations, but then again,
Those
those are
are
known as generations.
adaptations, generations. Like Ben 10 adaptations until 2017, and My Little Pony generations, same as Care Bears and all that shit. We're not gonna count those as reboots.
I mean, being honest, Pony Life is the only thing we can consider a reboot. It tried to reboot the Friendship is Magic thing.
Which was horrible. I don't hear anyone talking about it. Probably got cancelled.
Yup. I'm actually willing to bet so. Haven't heard about Pony Life since its release back in 2020 or 2019.
Everything was falling in that year. Anyways, thank you so much, Alex, for week 1. See you next week for week 2. And guys, thank you so much. Make sure to go subscribe to Alex's channel and look at his content. He makes really good content, unlike me. I will hopefully produce more content. I have literally gaming content coming soon. I'm literally just waiting for my items to come in the mail and I can start. I have software downloaded and everything, so hopefully these things come
Being
soon.
honest, being honest, I don't think your content will be that bad. You'll make quality content. No worries.
We'll try our best.
If anything, everyone, keep your imaginations turned on and remember nostalgia never dies. Now, on to you, Elly.
Peace out, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week for week 2/episode 2 of these summer rants. See you soon.
Bye bye, everybody.